Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimaloye in Abuja. Tonight is a packed program, so sit with me, everyone, because every moment you blink, it's going to be a whole lot of information and knowledge that is going to be pushed out on this platform within the next hour. So let's begin quickly by telling you that a leading Nigerian civil society organization, Yaga Africa, has been reviewing the outcome of the 2023 general elections, and they have gathered some lessons from the future polls in the country. At a roundtable today in Abuja, the group presented a document which is titled Electoral Trust, Nigeria's Electoral Process 1 year after the 2023 general elections, which highlights the failures and lessons from the 2023 general election. Let me allow you to listen to one of those persons who spoke about the process at that event today, which is a former National Commissioner of INEC.
The country has paid too much attention on the Independent National Electoral Commission and refused to pay attention to the political parties that are existing in Nigeria. So I think that one of the things we must do as a people and as a nation is to focus on the organization of political parties, focus on the internal dynamics of the political parties, and also get the political parties to reform themselves.
That's Mr. Festus Okoye speaking at that event today. Some of the failures and the lessons from the 2023 elections, and perhaps a need for the government of the day to start working on electoral reforms ahead of the next election. Tonight, we'll be dissecting the decision of the governor of Edo State, Governor Obaseki, in the increase of the workers' wages. He did this just about less than 2 years ago. In 2022, it went from 30,000, which the federal government had announced, to 40,000. And now he's announced yet another one. It's 70,000. It does look in the midst of when other governments and the federal government is still thinking about the right figure for minimum wage for workers. We'll be speaking with him on the program tonight. But before we get talking with him, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Justice Evelyn Anyadike of the Federal High Court in Ilorin has fixed June the 25th and 26th for a definitive hearing on the corruption charges leveled against the former governor of Kwara State, Mr. Abdul Fattah Ahmed. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission took the former governor to court over alleged misappropriation of some state funds while serving as the governor of Kwara State between 2015 and 2019. The Oyo State Governor, Seyi Makinde, says the legislature must be able to push for amendments that can strengthen democracy and further unite the country. Governor Makinde made the call while receiving members of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Electoral Matters in his office. He recommended that the lawmakers must muster the courage for amendments that will strengthen the nation's democracy and unite the country. The newly elected local government chairman in Gombe State have been sworn in. The ceremony, which took place at the banquet hall of the Gombe State Government House, witnessed a massive turnout of supporters who came to cheer the newly elected leaders. The state governor, Mr. Inuwa Yahaya, charged the newly elected leaders to shun corruption and ensure that developments get to the grassroots. Some leaders and stakeholders of the People's Democratic Party in Edo State, known as the PDP Legacy Coalition, have issued what they call a yellow card to the PDP in Edo State, asking it to reconsider actions it's taken to relegate members of the coalition. The leader of the coalition and National Vice Chairman South-South of the party, Mr. Dan Orbi, met members of the party from Edo Central and North Senatorial Districts in Benin City, where they discussed the developments in the party, including the recent impeachment of the former Deputy Governor of the state, Mr. Philip Shuaibu.
Thank you so much, everyone. In the first half of this program, we'll be speaking with the governor of Edo State, and in the other half, we'll be speaking with human rights lawyer, senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana. And those of you who are really angry about the electricity tariff, of course, we saw that the Minister of Power is facing the Senate. Of course, those also speaking about the justice sector reforms. We'll be getting to hear from Mr. Falana tonight also on the program. But let's begin from Edo State, where the governor, Governor Obaseki, has approved a new minimum wage of 70,000 naira for civil servants in the state. The governor revealed this while commissioning the new labor house in Edo State. And according to him, the new wage comes into effect on the 1st of May this year. Take a listen to him.
We, as a government, feel your pain. We know your take-home pay can barely take you home. We will continue to try. And I am one of those governors who believe that we cannot run away from the fact that we must adjust the minimum wage of workers in Nigeria. And so, for us in Edo State, we have decided that we will move minimum wage effective May 1 to 70,000 naira.
All right, that was earlier today, but let's flip the page. In 2022, May of 2022, the governor also made an announcement which came as a shock to a lot of people because it was higher than the national minimum wage. Take a listen to him in 2022, what he said, and the figure that he announced at that time.
The government of Edo State has now decided to review the minimum wage for Edo State workers to 40,000 naira a month. Undoubtedly, Edo State is the first state since COVID-19 to take this initiative.
Let's get some clarity now on how this is going to play out. Because if my mathematics get me right, apologies, I'm not the best when it comes to figures, but if it serves me right, 70,000 naira from 30,000, we're talking about almost a 90 or 80% increase in the figures, going from 40,000 to 70,000. Let's get clarity on how Governor Obaseki hopes to achieve that in a state that says about 62 billion. That's what the IGR was at in 2023. We understand that the IGR has hit about 70 billion in 2024. Governor Obaseki joins us live from Benin City virtually. Thank you so much, Governor Obaseki, for joining us tonight.
Thank you, sir. Hope you're doing well.
Thank you so much. I can hear you. I appreciate it. I guess congratulations to workers in Edo State. But for those who are in governance, we say this perhaps will be like a banana peel since that you are leaving office, the coming government might find this as a difficult task to keep up with. But what inspired the increase from 40,000 is just about 2 years ago when you increased it. Why this new increase?
Well, thank you very much. You must always understand that government and governance is about our people. And you cannot say you're doing well as a government if your people are in penury and are unhappy. Let us understand this minimum wage calculation. In 2011, when minimum wage was 18,000, the exchange rate was 160 naira to the dollar. And so effectively, workers in Edo State were taking home about $250 as minimum wage. When we increased minimum wage to 40,000 in 2022, the exchange rate at that time was 415. So effectively, workers were getting about $96, which was, a discount on what they were earning in 2011. Even after that, today, 2024, we have 70,000 naira minimum wage. At the current exchange rate of 1,275 or thereabouts. What they are taking home is actually $55, which is less than 50% of what they were earning a year ago. So for us in Edo State, we believe that the issue is about productivity. paying people well so that they can produce more, not pretending that you're paying them salaries when you know that that salary cannot motivate them to produce the goods and services you require. I think the key issue is how do we pay for it? We are not a super state. We look at our numbers very, very carefully and closely. Unfortunately for us, because we understood that this is what was going to happen, we have seen it, we have predicted it, and we're taking measures as a state to mitigate this situation we find ourselves today. So what did we do? We took fundamental reforms in our public services and the way government works. We got in an IPP, we have a Sion, so I don't buy diesel at the rates people are buying diesel to run power in the state and in government facilities. We moved our government officials to a digital platform. So we are paperless. So we don't spend the kind of money on stationery and all those costs that we traditionally used to run government. I expect that I'll be able to get better gas price from NNPC. Today we're paying $6.50 per cup. I hope we'll get a better price to lower our cost of energy. By the time we undertake all these savings, which I'm certain and we still will have the money to pay.
Interesting. I was looking at your overhead budgeted for in 2023 budget, which falls about 40 billion. Your pensions and gratuity figures in that budget is about 15 billion, and capital budget was about 185 billion. So invariably, this will, and I know that in 2024, it may have gone higher. So what figure are you proposing that this increase will be? Because I'm not sure that you projected this increase in the 2024 budget, did you?
Yes, you're right. So I'm going to my House of Assembly next week with a revised budget to accommodate these changes or these announcements we just made. But just to put it clearly, my overhead budget this year is about 89 billion, whereas my personnel cost in this year's budget is about 65 billion. So what we're doing is trying to move more money from overhead, from running of the running cost of government, to pay better salaries, better wages to the people who we have employed in government. That's the trick.
So in that sense, the question is the sustainability of what you have just started. How sustainable is this? Are you just laying a banana peel for the incoming governor or the next government?
So the money is there. It's there already in the budget. It's how we reallocate those funds. Today, I can make savings by being digital. The savings I make, I use it to pay more salaries. I make savings by having a centralized transport system in government. Those savings, I transfer as increased wages. I'm saving money because I have an IPT. I don't buy diesel to run generators in my secretariat and government facilities. Those savings, I use it to pay salary. So for us, we're making government more efficient. And the savings that we're making, that's accruing as a result, we're transferring those savings to give better wages to our citizens, to our workers.
So, how much of Edo money have you been able to plow into Edo State to work for the people of Edo State? We hear you have talked about the palm oil investment. We've heard you talk about the refinery investment, the agriculture investment, rice and all what have you. How much of that have you been able to plow? And perhaps how much of the money could Edo people be expecting monthly to come and as investment, benefit, a profit for the people of Edo State?
Okay, so I think the simple answer is you can see government is earning more revenues and more IJR. And they're already earning more IJR from taxes, from rates, from rates of taxes and other dues in government as a result of an improved economic environment, as a result of more investment opportunities in the state. Like you said, in the case of palm oil, for instance, we've allocated over 70,000 hectares of land for all farm families. So we have companies here who are building out their nurseries, employing people, and that's almost $500 million worth of investment in the last 2 years or so. Dito in the area of hospitality, you can really find a seat on a flight to Union City today, or find space or room in a hotel. It's full because we have improved the business environment, we've made it more relaxed, we've removed the lions and tigers from the streets, we've improved security and safety, and we have electricity. We've invested in electricity. We have Azura, we have Logjam, and we have a whole power. Though alone has over 1,000 megawatts of power available, and we can generate more. So with an improved economic environment, there's still more investment, and government is able to get more access to fall back for growth.
The reason why I'm asking this is that if there are no concrete investment and money that the government is generating by its investment, profit from its investment, if there is a slight impact on the economy, as we've seen, maybe a global economy recess or a national economy recess, it will impact on the local economy. And those who have your opposition that have tagged you as an MOU governor, that they have always seen is you signing MOUs and no practical investment on the ground. They talk about how much of infrastructure has dilapidated, how much of education facilities have dilapidated, and they're asking, what have you used the Edo money to do for the Edo people? And that's the reason why I'm asking, how much of investment have you been able to plow to make money and benefit for the Edo people?
So the economy of Edo is one of the fastest growing economies. Most people who you claim are complaining are the political buccaneers, as we have them here, who cannot have access to state treasury like they used to. So they imagine that what they used to do when they were in government is what is still going on. They imagine that what's going on now is what used to happen when they were there. But that is not the case. We are running a very transparent government, and we are digitized. We can't hide any information. It's there for the public to see. Unfortunately, many of them are financially illiterate. They don't even understand what we're doing. They're looking for cash and not wealth. But we are trying to build wealth in Edo, and it is working.
What brought you to that calculations of 70,000 naira? How did you arrive at that figure?
I looked at it. So last year we increased wages to 40,000 naira. At that time, with an exchange rate of 415 naira to the dollar, the minimum wage was $96. Today, even with 70,000 naira, even with increasing minimum wage to 70,000 naira, at today's exchange rate, it's only $55. So our people are even poorer. They are earning less in real terms because of the amount of inflation and devaluation in the economy. This is what people are living with daily. That has led to full inflation. People cannot feed, and we expect them to work. Let us be real. Let the government stop being dishonest and deal with issues the way they really are.
There are those saying that maybe 150,000, 200,000 or 250,000, some have even said 350,000 would be the adequate minimum wage, federal minimum wage. Should there be an increase upwardly in the minimum wage to be announced by the federal government with consultation, of course, with the National Economic Council, which you belong, would you adjust to that, or you will still leave it at 70,000?
I will look at my reality, and I'm sure if that is the rate that is agreed, there will be reasons why, and there will be more cash coming to us as government. And if that happens, we'll adjust accordingly.
Let me ask you, Governor Obaseki, what would you say? You're about spending almost 8 years here in your 7-year plus in office. But if you look back and think carefully, what would you say is perhaps the most impactful in terms of economic impact on the people of Edo State? What would you say is the most impactful policy and decision that you have made as a governor to the lives and the livelihood of the Edo people?
I think the most impactful policy will be the investments we have made in our people. Starting from what we've done in education, from the capacity building we've done with the Logjam, where over 150,000 young people have been given opportunities in different sports, skill acquisition, in different skills, and in different jobs. Just impacting on our people for today and tomorrow, I believe, has been a great achievement. In 2016, Edo was the capital of human trafficking and irregular migration. We had over 30,000 young men and women in Libya trying to cross over to Europe. Today, kids in Edo don't want to leave because we've created opportunities and hope for them. That is what we've achieved.
Yeah, the figures show as of last year that 1.4 million people living in Edo State are living in multi-dimension poverty, which represents some very staggering percentage in the overall figure. How much of that are you able to wind back in improving the livelihood of the people of the state, not only the workers? Because what you have announced today is going to directly impact on the lives and the livelihood of the workers, those who work for government, not talking about the artisans and those who work for private organizations.
So the irony is that today, the daily paid worker in Edo charges about 5,000 naira a day. So if a daily paid worker works for 10 days a month in Edo, in Benin, he earns about 50,000 naira. So why should the civil servant earn much less than that? So there's been inflation. So in terms of wages, in terms of earnings, we still, people in the informal sector have increased their prices. So that has to reflect in government. And yes, government is the largest spender, the government is in the economy, and we're paying 70,000 to over 50,000 people, 40,000 people. So imagine the impact, imagine the spread, imagine how many families and businesses were affected as a result of this increased spending by this large number of individuals. So it's about what we are paying for. It's not about how much we are paying. When we pay 70,000 naira, is it dash? Is it a grant? Or are people working? So the focus should be on how to organize government, how to organize your businesses, to make sure that those people, now that you're paying higher salaries, you must get better productivity and better services.
You were very critical of the past government on the manner in which they managed the economy, and you thought that at some point you were vocal to say the government at the federal level was printing money. There were deniers at some point. But the question would be, where were you perhaps the only voice out of the 36 governors then that were very vocal about the manner in which they managed the economy?
Maybe because of my background, I could see the danger ahead. And, one thing about economics and the sciences, it's about evidence. The facts were there to show that, we were spending money we didn't earn or we didn't have. And it will be inflationary, and it will have consequences for the rest of the entire economy. It will apply to everybody. I don't know why other people, will fail to talk about it. They only saw it and they knew it. But it's about your training, your background, and the sort of person you are. I can't see falsehood and pretend that it's true. No, that's not how I was raised, and I don't think politics should change that.
So most of the dangers that you foresaw at the time are here with us, including the impact on the Naira. What do you think could have been done differently?
Well, unfortunately, this has been a problem that almost 3 or 4 decades in the midst. At the core of it is the structure of our country. We are just one of the few countries in the world where we have one main source of income, of revenue, oil. And that's the elites are centralized. And every month, the central government now begins to distribute to all the tiers of government. It doesn't happen everywhere. What happens typically is people earn earn the revenues from the resources available to them, and the central government will impose a tax. So you don't have to wait on the central government to now begin to give you handouts at the end of every month like we've done in Nigeria. Key to our problem is decentralization. Let every state, let every part of this country go and work and sweat the assets it has, earn its revenues, and pay whatever it has been agreed as taxes to the center. Not the way we are going about it, where the center earns everything and now begins to allocate, to the component part.
Governor Obaseki.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, would you say the government of the day under President Tinubu is on the right track? And some of those things that you pointed out about the Buhari government and the manner in which they manage the economy then, they are doing differently this time around?
They made efforts, they made some real good and bold efforts. However, they are handicapped. The structure is a major handicap. For us to have growth, for us to manage the economy in an optimal manner, you need both the right monetary policies and the right fiscal policies. Today, the monetary authorities are doing all they can, all the tricks they know in the books to see how they can curb inflation. But you need a fiscal response. But because of the political structure of our country, that fiscal response is difficult to attain at the point of that. That's why we must look back at the structure of the country.
Yeah, perhaps a way to wrap this up is to drag you into politics. I know that you don't like it, but then you're a politician. I'd like to take one or two questions from you. Do you regret the removal of your very good brother, whom you started this race together, Philip Shaibu, from office?
It's not a question of regret. It's a question of experience. When, forces take over a normal situation, what you do, you have to take drastic measures to address. I think clearly, the fact from the party did, I don't know why, because it was obvious that he wasn't going to go anywhere with that. You're running the state, and there's a system in the state. But if he decided to go against the system, he had to deal with the consequences. So for me, it was, I didn't understand where the ambition was coming from because it was clear that the odds were not, in his favor in terms of succeeding me, and I made it very clear. So, I just couldn't take any risk on the ambition, on his ambition, because, I have to protect the people of Edo State. But also what happened in London. So I couldn't take that risk on Edo people.
Yeah, I have only just less than 30 seconds to wrap this up. And those who say that there are now drums of war being beaten within and without in your party, the PDP in Edo State, and you have sticked it out for Mr. Aswe Ighodalo. Are you for certain that this man can win it for your party in the governorship election? Was that an audacious move, and why did you do it? Just about 20 seconds so that we can close.
Well, you must understand, that Edo people know what they want. And we people who who understand that, you need the right leadership, an educated leadership, an experienced leadership, somebody who has a track record. And even what we have done in the last 8 years, people know that they are dying for continuity. They ask me that, and they say, what do you want to start me? He continues from where I stopped.
Governor Obaseki, a win for the people of Edo State, and congratulations to the workers. And I must say also, thank you so much indeed for the move and the decision to better the lot of the workers in Edo State. Thank you so much indeed, Governor Obaseki, for this interview tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it. We take a break, everyone, but when we return, Mr. Femi Falana, a senior advocate of Nigeria, right activist, will be joining me, and we'll be dissecting some of what were said, the things that were said at the justice sector reforms and the debate over electricity tariff today in the Senate as the minister faced the Senate. We'll be right back after this break, everyone. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Welcome back to the program. Funding of the judiciary, the composition of the bench, appointments and administration of the judiciary, and some of the issues raised at the justice sector reforms, which held in Abuja last week, which was an event that was co-organized by the Ministry of Justice and the Nigerian Bar Association, the NBA. In all of what is being proposed, the fact is, how do we move the judiciary forward? They've identified, even the members of the bench identified that there were problems. That's on one hand. On the other hand, the Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, had appeared before the Senate today defending the electricity tariff, the increase in what Nigerians will pay. And now a lot of complaints as to those who are paying are not even getting the benefit of what they pay for. Let's get some legal perspectives to some of these issues. I'm being joined by rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Femi Falana, who joins us live from Lagos. Thank you so much indeed, Mr. Falana, for your time tonight. Let me begin with what perhaps...
Thank you very much, Sean.
Yes, sir. With what perhaps is paining a lot of Nigerians, some of those who perhaps are watching us with their petrol or diesel pumped into their generator, and those of some of them who are perhaps only watching us on their mobile devices who could not even afford to have electricity in their house. But the minister was at the Senate today defending the electricity tariff. I know you have made your position clear. But from what the minister has said today, what is your own assessment of the situation of things?
The Minister of Power, Mr. Adebayo Adelabu, has failed to address the question of illegality of the tariff. Section 116 of the Electricity Act 2023 provides that before an increase can be approved and announced, there has to be a public hearing conducted based on the request of the discourse to have increase in electricity tariff. That was not done. So, up to now, neither the minister nor the National Electricity Regulatory Commission has explained why the impunity that characterizes the increase can be allowed. And that is why I've already given, as requested by the law, I've already given a notice to the commission that because, these guys are running Nigeria on the basis of impunity, and we cannot continue like this. When a country claims to operate under the rule of law, all actions of the government, all actions of individuals must comply with the provisions of relevant laws. Secondly, the increase was anchored on the directive of the commission that customers in Band A will have uninterrupted electricity supply for at least 20 hours a day. That directive has been violated on a daily basis. So on what basis can you justify the increase in electricity tariff? But these guys, the Honorable Minister of Power is acting the script of the IMF and World Bank. Those two agencies insisted, and they continue to insist, that the government of Nigeria must remove all subsidies. Fuel subsidy, electricity subsidy, and what have you. All social services must be commercialized and priced beyond the reach of the majority of Nigerians. So the government cannot afford to protect the interests of Nigerians while you are implementing the neoliberal policies of the Bretton Woods institution. And I have said publicly, neither the Minister of Power nor anybody in government has challenged this, that the Western countries, led by the United States of America, the bastion of capitalism, subsidize agriculture, subsidize energy, subsidize fuel, and they grant grants and loans to students, particularly the poor. So the same guys, I mean, just a couple of months ago, the IMF representative in the United Kingdom was challenging the British government for reducing the budget, of health and education. The IMF comes here to say the government has no business in funding education, in funding health, in funding other social services. In fact, there was a time in the 80s that the World Bank said there were too many educated people in Africa. Today, we have 20.2 million out of school children. This does not bother the World Bank. The World Bank is very happy that Nigeria is not prepared to fund even primary education. Right now, Shehu, the 36 state government and the Federal Capital Territory have refused to access 54.8 billion naira because they have failed to pay counterpart fund to access the machine grant. Yet, you hear of hundreds of billions of naira criminally diverted by a coterie of public officers.
Mr. Falana, if I may jump in quickly,
Yes.
There are critical questions, right, that the lawmakers asked today. And it has to do with also legal issues. They were asking the minister that the minister should tell the nation what law guaranteed the migration of Nigerians from one band to the other. They were also asking that the disparity and perhaps the discrimination in pricing from one region or the other, what informed it and what law captures it. But on those grounds, I'm very sure that a lot of Nigerians who are watching tonight will care less if they have 24-hour supply of electricity. They then battle in the second level of debating the price. But the supply is in the first layer of concern for them. Don't you think, Mr. Falana?
You see, Shehu, it will interest you to recall that in January 2022, the then Minister of Finance, Madam Zainab Ahmed, announced to the whole world that subsidy in the electricity sector had been quietly removed by the government. And last year, Mr. Delabu told the whole world that Nigeria was under pressure to increase electricity tariff, but that the situation in town could not be justified under the excruciating economic pains inflicted on Nigeria as a result of the removal of fuel subsidy and floating of the naira. Twin policy, These are twin policies of this regime. Therefore, the minister is not operating under the law. You know, under the Constitution, Section 42, discrimination is completely prohibited. So a government cannot ask Nigerians to pay different prices for the same product. And what are we paying for? We are paying for darkness as far as electricity is concerned. And that is why the Senate, with profound respect, it won't go beyond the public hearing. I think the members of the National Assembly want to give the impression that we share in your pains. I think that is what they are telling Nigerians. You know, nothing will come out of the probe. And that is why this matter will have to go to court so that the minister and the Attorney General of the Federation will come to court to justify the electricity, the increase in electricity tariff. Because under the Constitution, under the electoral electricity, it is stated that increase will only be based on improved services. You cannot increase electricity tariff at a time that Nigerians, you know, are living in darkness.
Mr. Falana, let me take you to the issues relating to the judiciary. And the justice sector reforms also brought out some of the inherent challenges faced by the bench, and how the dispensation of justice is very important. Not only being done, seen to be done, but being done as exactly as she should be. If the judiciary is the last bastion of hope, then we need to operate the judiciary as it should be. Give us an understanding, especially what came out of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, who is the chairman of the Nigerian judiciary. The realization coming from the CJN, how does that come to you, Mr. Falana?
Well, for the past 25 years, every Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice has convened a justice sector reform conference. At the end of the day, again, unfortunately, things remain the same or they are getting worse. The political will to change the situation is not there. The members of the ruling class in Nigeria are not prepared to operate under the rule of law. And that is why you have impunity in every sector. Yes, we had a similar conference, I think about 2013, 2014 or thereabout. The conference held at that period culminated in the enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, which has been adopted by all the 36 states in Nigeria. But I can tell you, as of today, it is as if that law is not in place. In other words, the provisions of that law that are meant to fast-track criminal trials in Nigeria are observed in their breach by our courts and senior lawyers defending politically exposed persons and other VIPs in our society. In fact, we now have a dual criminal justice systems in the country, one for the poor and one for the rich. While we are eroding the poor to jail houses for all manners of minor offenses. When it comes to the rich, there's almost a riot in the country. People are organizing demonstrations. Debates are going on that this guy who is alleged to have stolen 100 billion or more should have his fundamental rights respected. Right to what? The law is the Constitution provides. Section 35 provides that once there is reasonable suspicion that anybody has breached the law, such a person will be arrested and taken to court. But when it comes to the you go and get either an interim order or a perpetual order of injunction that this big man who has lost his immunity cannot be arrested, investigated, or prosecuted. It's against the Constitution, it's against the decisions of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal. The point I'm making, therefore, yes, these summits are good, but beyond the summit, where do we go from here? Under the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, a court shall not adjourn a criminal trial for more than 7 days. On rare occasion, 14 days. But what happens? I know of one case where the suspect, being a very big woman, was not arraigned for 2 years. I know cases that commenced in 2007, and they are still in the docket of our courts. So the point I'm making, therefore, is that these summits are good, but at the end of the day, the political will to change the system will be missing. It will not be there.
Let me quickly bring two issues that are very cogent that were brought out. One, funding and the independence of the judiciary. And I would like you to tell us how this could be done, perhaps if there are other climes who do it better in terms of how they fund their judiciary, which makes them more independent. The second one, which was also raised, is how judicial officers are being appointed. The manner of appointment was also raised. Funding and appointment. How can we do it better compared to other crimes?
Well, for the first time, the budget of the judiciary was increased this year, substantially at the federal level. What will therefore be required, which the National Assembly has not done, is to have a breakdown. What they call it envelope budgeting. It's against the provision of Section 81 of the Constitution. The detail shall be set out. The detail must be set out. So we want to know what goes to the Supreme Court, to the Court of Appeal, to the National Industrial Court, to the Federal High Court, and so on and so forth. And that must also happen at the level of the states. The situation in the states is very bad. It's very bad. At the federal level, because budgets are debated in the National Assembly, there is no state House of Assembly in Nigeria where the budget presented by a government is debated. So the judiciary is not given its place of pride in the states. And that goes for independence. The Constitution provides for financial autonomy for the judiciary. That has been recognized at the national level. But at the state level, maybe one or two states, others have simply continued to treat the judiciary as an extension of the executive. But for me, my colleagues have their jobs cut out for them. No judge is appointed in Nigeria without the input of the bar at the state level or federal level. The names of candidates are sent to the Nigerian Bar Association, the branches of the bar, for comments. But what happens? Wonderful reports are written. Beautiful reports are written. We have 2 members, the Nigerian Bar Association, as 2 members in the Federal Judicial Service Commission. We have 5 members in the National Judicial Council. On what occasion, in the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years, has any of the representatives of the bar kicked against appointment that we go out to condemn? So we must get the bar to wake up to its responsibility. And it's not just about appointment. I was talking of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, Section 34 of that law, and Section 70 of the Police Establishment Act provide that the chief magistrate in every magisterial district shall, at least once a month, visit all the police stations, release those who should not be there, order those who should be taken to court, or grant bail there. But what has happened? We have 128 branches of the NBA in Nigeria. It's the most territorially spread NGO. And I have pleaded with our colleagues, you have human rights committees, in all the branches. Can the members accompany chief magistrates to visit police stations and take out those who should not be there? If those provisions of the law, the 2 laws, have been implemented by today, there will be no illegal arrest and detention in Nigeria. Furthermore, the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court is required by that law or by the provision of the law to designate judges to visit other detention facilities, EFCC detention facility, ICPC detention facility, SSS, Armed Forces, and the rest of them. I had to sue the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court since 2015. No High Court judge has been designated to visit any detention facility in Nigeria. So, but we lawyers complain, people are being detained illegally, just support tactics and so on and so forth. But what are we doing? I went to court seeking to compel the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court to carry out his duty under the law. The man defending him is a very senior member of the bar, a leader of the NBA. And what is the defense? Mr. Falana, what is your local standard to insist that the chief judge should carry out his duty? So that's why I'm not really impressed, when you talk of all these summits.
Yeah.
Workshop, we engage in talk shops, but at the end of the day, we don't follow up.
Yeah. Thank you so much indeed. Always a pleasure having you on the program, Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and rights activist. Thank you so much indeed for your thoughts there. But that's how we wrap up the program tonight. Many thanks everyone for watching. I'm Sean Wakimale. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.